All right, I'm gonna see if I can put a face on this guy. Nothing comes to mind immediately, but I'm just gonna play around and see if I can find some shapes that look appealing. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, I definitely like that better. Probably pull the forehead a little bit further out. Hey, sorry guys. I'm pretty new to this, so I'm gonna miss fucking the chats from time to time. You make it for a living? Well, I'm an animator by trade. Um, and I was laid off back in February, so I decided to start uh making a game. But no, I don't make games for a living, but I do work in animation for a living. I don't have a name for the game yet. Right now, my brother and I are working on just working out some of the combat. So we're trying to figure out we want to make like a survival craft game kind of set in a medieval universe. Um, but we're working out the combat first. So right now I'm just trying to make a character that's modular so that I can switch all the parts. Um, you can start off sort of naked, like so. And then, we're building it all in Unreal. So I'm just trying to set up a system so that we can switch out all the pieces and whatnot. I'm animator. I've been modeling and sculpting and stuff like that for the past about 5 or 6 years. My brother is the programmer though. He was doing stuff for like POS systems, like Touch Bistro. When you go to a bar and they have those tablets, and they do the seating and they take the orders. That's the kind of stuff my brother was programming. And then unfortunately, uh, you know, with AI and all the other stuff, he got laid off from his job as well too. So we decided, screw it. We've always wanted to kind of make video games. We always play video games together. We might as well just try making one. So right now we're gonna figure out a combat system and then kind of just try to build the game up from there. Oh yeah, so we started back kind of last summer. We started messing around with different engines. So we started building a game in Godot originally. Um, but just the sheer volume of assets that you're gonna have to create. So we've actually gone and downloaded the Cinti or at least I subscribed to the Cinti site. So you'll notice like the plate armor here is straight from the Cinti website. Um, Hmm. Disconnected, reconnect. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I got disconnected there for a second. Um, yeah, so we went to the Cinti website and we kind of subscribed to the thing, but the truth is be told, like the environments look beautiful, but I really don't like the character assets. Um, it's mostly just because um so because I work in the animation industry, Unreal ends up being something that's we're adopting into VFX and animation pipelines now. So on the in the event that we're going to try to make a game, but in the event that we don't sell and I can't make a living just out of making a game, this also gives me additional skills to bring to the visual effects and animation industry. Just because real time graphics and stuff that everybody's starting to adopt Unreal now, even just for like prevising and stuff like that for movies. So it becoming more and more useful for people to learn Unreal in animation. Uh, so I have some additional skills once my temp layoff kind of ends, and I can bring back to the studio some additional Unreal skills because I know they're looking for people to do Unreal. Hopefully, it will help reduce the chances of me being laid off if I have other skills besides animation. Top of that, I've been learning Blender as well too, and Blender is a completely different beast from Maya. They're both trying to do the same things, but when you've been working in Maya for like 20 years and then you try to switch over to Blender, what the biggest thing that I'm getting in the way is just the muscle memory. Is everything in Unreal in Maya, I basically had my own customized hotkey set up, and learning Blender was difficult just because my muscle memory wants to do something different, right? So, but yeah, I'm just trying to learn as much software and picking up different tools in my time off, just because you can get really lazy when you're laid off of work, and it's good to keep your skills kind of polished. Uh, I I do something find something cathartic about not like maybe cathartic, but relaxing about just watching other artists kind of go through their process. There's not a whole lot of chatter. That's something I have to kind of work on as it because I literally just started streaming this week. So I appreciate you coming and stopping by and saying hi. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I typically will run a second monitor and just kind of passively listen to people working on their own projects too. I don't know. I think maybe it's because I'm working from home, so it's easier to feel like I'm kind of being a little bit more social. If there's other people kind of chatting in the back. The only problem is like people that are artists typically are a little bit more quiet when they work. So are you working on your own little game right now too? Like, do you have are you working in Unity or any games that you're thinking of making? Yeah, we started making a 2D, a 3D, a side-scrolling game in 3D, and then we found, I think the way we were approaching it was we had a game from the 80s. It's an old NES game that we wanted to remake in 3D as a 3D side scroller. But the problem is like we can't really do anything with that after. It's a great little project to kind of kickstart, not kickstart, but to kind of start on. As somebody, as people who have never made a game before, just to kind of take a game that already exists, so we don't have to think about designing it and all that other stuff. It's a really simple game from the 80s, but we just couldn't do anything else with it. But yes, it's just I think any game, even small simple games, requires so much asset work. I mean, if you want the game to present well, uh, whereas I know that games don't necessarily have to have beautiful graphics. I think great gameplay speaks for itself. Um, but you know, I'm an artist, so when I see video games, part of me wants to see, whether it's stylized or realistic. I like to see like cool art. So that was the big draw for me, was to just make some really cool art and just to be able to, you know, art direct an entire game because I didn't get the opportunity to do while I was in my professional life. Because mostly I'm just an animator, but I'm trying to transition into other things now. But yeah, this is really as much overlap into hobby and professionalism and professional work as I possibly can, and hopefully to train up some additional skills for my professional work. Right now, you know, because I work in VFX and film, uh, modeling like this really isn't going to get me jobs in VFX and film. But this is the kind of stuff I like to do. So naturally, if I'm going to do it, I might as well just try to gear it towards a video game or something my own personal project right now. So, but you know, I might try to apply to other smaller animator gigs for smaller studios and or smaller game studios just to see if I can pick up some experience. Um, yeah, sort of like in a transitionary period in my career I got laid off, which is not uncommon in the business. You know, I had a little bit of money squirreled away, so not a big deal. But I'm thinking maybe I try to find something a little more sustainable long term versus constantly kind of just picking up contract work in animation. And maybe if I can get a game out or something that just gives me a little bit more, that bolsters the income on the other side, some streaming, some YouTube. I don't know. I'm just trying to explore as many things as I can right now. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I like the realistic things too, but I find the problem with realism, specifically in video games, they date really fast, right? Like where we chose this more stylized approach to this because I always find that like games that have a more painted, stylized look to them just feel more they have the chance to be a little bit more timeless. Whereas games, when you try to make them realistic, you're kind of beholden to the current technology at hand. The fact that technology is going to keep moving, it's only a matter of time. Like it might be the great latest and greatest thing right now, but within a few years, you're going to be able to do it better in terms of making it look more realistic. So I don't really lean towards realism, even in my own personal like like my own sculpting where I always lean to something more stylized. It just feels like it has more longevity, and there's more you can do with it, just because you're not beholden to technology, right? So I mean, I remember when was it like GTA 5 came out. I mean, even GTA 4, right? Like it almost blows you away that, oh my goodness, you have this massive world and you can get the graphics to look that good. Or even Cyberpunk now, if you look at modern like games that are coming out now, there's they just look better if you're trying to aim for realism, and all of a sudden these games start to look a little bit more dated. It could be just, I think a lot of it has just the power of the rendering and the lighting, and the like. It could be. I'm not a huge fan of the new DLSS 5, because I think that's taking work out of the artist's hands, or at least doing something to the art that the artist didn't intend. But you can see how that technology has the ability to make something feel more realistic. So you can't displace that over time, right? It can only exist now. It can't exist 5 years. You can take the old stuff and try to renew it, but then obviously it's not what the artist intended. Whereas stylization, it's always what the artist intended, right? Like there's a reason World of Warcraft is still kind of relevant. It's because they decided to use a more timeless painted approach to it. So even if you do look at it and you're like, oh, it's old, it still works, right? It's still, everything is still cohesive, and your eyes never look at it and are shocked by the fact that, oh, it doesn't look quite real anymore, because nobody ever expected it to. So yeah, I think this player is pretty much ready for a rig now. So the musket, basically what we're doing with the musket is we want to do, so the combat system I imagining for this thing is more along the lines of like a Monster Hunter or an Elden Ring kind of thing. So it's not like you push a button and you're going to get an immediate response. There's a little bit of warm up to it. So there's an anticipation. So the longer the frames run, the bigger the damage of the hit's going to be. The way we want to do the musket is because if we're thinking about a medieval world, or at least a Victorian kind of like that, the edge of being from when guns are starting to get introduced into warfare, like guns are just OP, right? So you got some dude running at you with a sword. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that you can shoot the musket once, but it's not going to be very accurate. So you're really going to be able to kind of quickly shoot it off once, or the pistol off once, but there's a passive reload or a cooldown, so you can't reuse it again. So you're kind of forced into the melee combat. So you can kind of open up. And I don't know if you've seen a game called The Little Devil Inside, but there's this really cool mechanic where they play with the sword and he can whip the pistol out as part of the combo mechanic. So I wanted to introduce a little bit of gunplay into the combo. So you're swinging your sword, and then you can kind of whip out your pistol, fire off a shot, and then go back into combat. I don't know if this is how the Little Devil Inside is going to do it, because the game's been in production for 12 years. I just thought it looked really, really cool. Like visually, it's such a cool little thing to see. You know, kind of like you parry off of an attack or something like that, and then you just kind of pull out and look like a badass pulling out a gun and just firing off a shot, and then going back into the combat. I just thought it looked really cool, so I wanted to see if I could do something like that and introduce that as part of a mechanic just for vision. I don't know. Again, a lot of these things I'm just playing with. If it doesn't work for the game, we're probably going to get rid of it, but I just think it's really, really cool. So, yeah, yeah, check out the Little Devil Inside. It's just visually, again, stylized, really, really cool looking game. It's been in production for a long time. I think it's hit some sort of funding issue or budgeting issue, and it went on hiatus for a bit. and now it's coming back, and there's supposed to be some information coming about it this year, but um, it's one of those games that I've been really hoping would get released just because I think it's so cool artistically that I want to play it. And short of not being able to play it, I decided, okay, well, let me see if I can start making a game kind of in that realm as well. No, the first game I was making is a side scroller. This one's not going to be a side scroller. This one is going to be, I think right now we're looking, our initial plan is an open world, but we're building everything in a nice contained level right now. So I think the goal is to be in an open world exploration kind of survival craft. Um, I again, it's like you said, there's so many assets to do. So we're just trying to figure out a way to populate a world that doesn't require a lot of character assets in terms of like NPCs. So I like the idea of a survival game because it's meant to feel a little bit more lonely. It's meant to feel a little bit more unpopulated. Um, yeah, NPCs are it's gonna yeah, it's just I'm just trying to be whatever the target amount of assets is going to be, it's got to be relatively reasonable. So right now we're just building the character. My brother is building the all of the AI stuff right now. And I'm going to be building the player controller, and then at some point we kind of meet and see how those things are working together. Then we start doing hit registration and all that other stuff. And I don't know. I think we're gonna start posting stuff about it in maybe a month or two, only because there's not really much to see. We're still in an Unreal kind of third person proto level, and we're kind of bringing in assets now and character assets. I have a couple of characters done already, or enemies done already. But yeah, no, it's going to be third person, and it's going to be open world. We really want to kind of push the exploration angle of it and the survival mechanics. So, I'm a fan of Souls games and Monster Hunter and games like that. So I like combat that is a little bit more involved, and it's not just going up and whacking a dude away. Really. Yeah, that's pretty much the idea, right? The musket is going to be very, very slow, but it's going to be powerful if you can land the shot. And then the old kind of just unholster and kind of fire it like the old pirate kind of way, and then you holster it back, and then you go back to your sword and shield or your spear or whatever melee weapon. And then the idea is that when it's holstered or when your gun is tucked away, you're passively reloading. We're gonna have an active reload as well, I think. But when you've holstered, it's basically just on a cooldown. So again, these are all just concepts in my head right now. So in terms of timing, I have zero indication or any idea of what the timing is going to look like on something like that. But certainly, we'll have enough time to kneel, and then I think in order to, I don't know if we want to do. We've had discussions about multiplayer, but I think if right now, if we're going to do any sort of multiplayer, it's going to be entirely co-op multiplayer. But right now, we really want to just build out the single player experience and see if we can get that working, and then potentially implement multiplayer later on. I don't know if that's going to be a pain in the ass to implement multiplayer later on, but it's not something we are even close to ready to consider. Just because we don't have any sort of game yet. I've looked into it, and I've from what I understand, it's not too bad to implement it later. It's not the easiest, but it's also not an incorrect approach to it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be a survival kind of thing. So I really like the survival genre as well as the kind of like the Souls-like genre. And so I'm thinking of some way creating a hybrid of the two. So it's going to be a world that's going to be quite difficult to kind of like it has a difficulty curve similar to Monster Hunter, or at least older versions of Monster Hunter, and maybe something like Elden Ring. Again, these are just our ambitions. So we've never made a game before, but my brother has been phenomenal about implementing code and getting things kind of the AI enemies kind of going. So I have faith that he will able to, between the two of us, will be able to figure out something that will work. If not, again, we always, I think building out a simple combat system allows us to try other things from there. So, it's just a combat system. And we can transplant that into any kind of style of game outside of like cozy games or something like that. But, any game any game that there's combat, we can kind of implement that in, and we can build all the other systems kind of around it, right? So, it felt the most natural way, because we're both into combat games or combat style games or games with combat, to build the combat system to kind of work first. And then we start saying, okay, that works. How do we build all the other stuff now? Right. So, yeah, I think in about 2 months, we should have a prototyped combat system. I would actually probably say by the end of May, we'll have the basic stuff kind of blocked into Unreal. And then we'll be kind of tuning things up by the end of May. Obviously, not even close to finishing, but we'll have a proto system kind of built in. Yeah, it's we're skeptical about PvP, only because it's I guess PvP works a little bit better when we're talking about gunplay. Melee, I'm not certain how to do it outside of like a League of Legends style kind of like cooldown thing. So we're probably leaning towards more PvE. Um, I think it's just easier for us in the end to do it that way, because it's you're just introducing a second player into the world. Obviously, there's multiplayer code that needs to be done, but I just think, yeah, I mean, you just become more subject to more scrutiny and more criticism with balancing and all it just opens up a whole other dimension of things that we're just not prepared to dedicate time into right now. We kind of just want to make a game. Obviously there's going to be bugs and we want to fix that stuff up, but we don't again, we've never built a game before. So, I think PvP games require a little bit more know-how and a little bit of experience and understanding how all the systems work. Right now, we haven't really created any systems. We have a basic health system, we have a basic enemy system, and we don't even have our hit registration and stuff like that done yet. But um, you know, we might just open up we might, again, it's something that we might play with later on, but co-op is the way we're going to kind of lean towards right now. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just too much to, well, every interview, every person that I've talked to that's made a game, like, keep your idea simple, keep it relatively tight. It's okay to want to make a bigger game, but you got to keep the idea relatively tight, because you're going to run into feature creep. In other words, you're going to start adding things to the game that you didn't originally intend to, and you can get carried away with stuff like that. Um, so we might end up doing something completely different. But like I said, really, our goal is to get combat working first, and then we see, well, is the combat fun? Because if it's not fun, we can kind of get the indicator. Okay, well, we need to fix this before we move forward with any other mechanic, because it is going to be a combat centric game, right? So here we have her. Yeah, I'm just tumbling around now because I'm not 100% sure what else I want to do with this thing, but I think it feels pretty good at this point. Yes, yes, I definitely play V Rising. I've been playing V Rising. My brother and I have been playing Windrose, and well, we started playing Valheim, and then Windrose came out, so we've been kind of juggling Windrose and Valheim right now. But V Rising is another game that's on our list, as well as Enshrouded. But V Rising's awesome. V Rising is a really, really fun game. Yeah, I think it's getting there. I don't know. Don't want to spend too much time. The idea of working in low poly is to be able to move as quickly as possible. So yeah, I definitely like the way the game plays. I mean, it is even just as simple as the cool the when you're in sunlight, you take damage. I really like gameplay mechanics like that, where there's just a little bit of twists in the gameplay. Um, and I like that it's not too hard. Like it's not too difficult. Combat's difficult. Like don't get it twisted. I got my butt kicked a couple of times. But yeah, no, the game's a lot of fun. Thanks, dude. Yeah, this is I mean, this is one of the armor sets, so I'm hoping the backpack, I know I want it to be a really big feature in the game. So if that's something I wanted to make sure to spend some time on to make sure it looks really, really cool, makes it nice and chunky, because everything's going to get attached to that thing, right? So it's a big feature that I really wanted to make sure to get right. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where this thing has ended up so far. Now I'm just tumbling around. Just looking for other things that might need, because there's some stuff missing underneath, but the reality is we're not going to see much underneath. So yeah, I think I mean I mean again it's a survival mechanic that I like, the building mechanic, and it is really about the timing and the cooldown mechanics of the fighting. That's what I really liked about V Rising, is because you're not just going in there and hacking and slashing, right? If you go in there and you button mash, you're gonna the bosses or the guys are gonna beat you up. So it is required focus and timing, and then you get that sense of accomplishment after you beat the boss, not because you just have your armor can take all the damage. It's because you studied the animations, you learned the combos, and you were able to figure out ways to parry, dodge, and then counter. And I really like that stuff. That kind of combat, not just hack and slash or Call of Duty just blasting things. I want to think, it's not about being super high paced. It's about giving the player pressure and having the player think under pressure, but giving the time for the player to make good decisions, and then setting up a system so that the player can learn how to make those decisions, I think is the best way that video games give that sense of accomplishment outside of like unlocking achievements, right? Like, I want the players to feel fully immersed in the fight, so that there's enough time so that they can actually take a beat to think about what their next move is going to be, whether it's they back off from their opponent and they kind of circle back to regroup, or if they have an opening, they can take advantage of an opening. We're definitely excited. I mean, I've definitely felt like video games have been there. I've been an animator. I've wanted to work in cartoons. I've had it my chance. I've got to work with some of the biggest companies in the world for animation, and unfortunately, it's just the nature of unless I'm a producer or an executive producer, we're just we get laid off. We're artists. We're kind of subject to what's available, and we're almost like migrant workers. And I wanted something for myself, and I'm kind of just tired of being a facilitator of other people's creativity, and so this is something that is important to us, both myself and my brother, because I know my brother feels the same way too. So I'm hoping we're gonna get something done. I'm really driving for it. streaming every single day to this week. You're the first person that showed up, so thank you very much for popping by. It's nice to actually have somebody to talk to while I'm working. But yeah, no, I thank you. I feel like we're gonna push for something. We're gonna get somewhere. I don't know what exactly it's gonna look like yet, but um I'm in Canada. Yeah, I'm in Canada right now. Toronto actually. Yes. Where are you at right now? Feel like you're probably on the other side of the ocean somewhere if you don't have sunlight. Europe, maybe? What time is it in Europe right now? It's probably closer. It's probably the evening, well into the evening in Europe right now. Oh, well into the evening. It must be pretty late for you right now if you're on the other side of the planet. It's 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock p.m. for me. It's almost the end of my workday. Thank you so much, man. Yes, I will definitely be making videos of the progress, and I'm trying to stream as much as possible. But thank you so much for stopping by today. It really means a lot. It definitely helps kind of keep me motivated to keep streaming. Yes, yes. No, I have been following Thomas Brush. Yes, yeah, it's got to be pretty late in Poland. Thank you for stopping by, buddy. I'm going to be cutting out soon as well too. It's been awesome to actually have my first visitor pop by. Thank you so much. Yes, pop by anytime, and thank you if you did subscribe. Thank you very much. I will be trying to be as active as possible, and anybody who's interested in Blender and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what kind of content I want to put on my YouTube channel, but I think after going through the process of rigging some characters for Unreal, I think that might be the first thing I want to make a video about is how to get that stuff working. But yeah, appreciate it, man. Anytime you want to pop by and say hello, please feel free to. Also, if you're working on anything, let me know. I'd love to see it. I'm actually okay, buddy. We'll go for a walk now. Dog wants to go for a walk. Yeah, no, I'm pretty realistic about my expectations of what's going to happen in streaming and YouTube videos. I understand the market for people who want to learn Blender or people who are enthusiastic is limited to, you know, like the successes can only be so limited. But the hope is to build some people up to follow and to hopefully maybe bring it over to the game. But yeah, yeah, for sure, dude. No, I get what you're saying. It's I don't think I'm gonna be able to quit my day job anytime soon, or at least once I get back to my day job, I don't think I'll be. But yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I think I appreciate the wishful thoughts. Um, yeah, it's a journey, and I hope I want to share that with everybody because I think that's something that is kind of missing. A lot of the time, you see people kind of who have already made it. I mean, Thomas Brush, he's got this legacy of videos you can kind of watch from the beginning to the end and see the process of how he grew. So it's really, really cool. And I think that's something I want to kind of be a part of is just to show how hopefully we can gain some success out of the work we do. And if I start recording now, maybe there's going to be this kind of lineage of work that people can look at and be like, oh, okay, he kind of meandered in the beginning and didn't know what to do either. Yeah, I definitely watched Thomas Brush. He's been fantastic, and he's been definitely one of those guys that has helped keep me motivated to keep trying. Yeah. Anyways, dude, I really appreciate you stopping by. My dog has been, if you can see, he's been staring at me to go for a walk. So it is time. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much, bud. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow if you want to pop by and say hi, or whenever you want. No obligations. This is open ended. I'm just screwing around right now. Thank you so much, dude. Have a great one. Get some sleep. Good night in Poland. Have a great one.